World War III, how close are we? Human history has been shaped by conflict. Wars have risen and fallen, empires have crumbled, and civilizations have been rewritten in blood. We lived through 2 devastating world wars in the 20th century, and for decades we've feared a third. But with rising global tensions, new technology, and increasing political instability, how close are we to World War III? And if it happens, how will it change the world forever? The roots of global conflict. Are we repeating history? To predict the future, we must first understand the past. The First and Second World Wars didn't begin overnight. They were decades in the making, shaped by political rivalries, economic crises, and unchecked military aggression. Today, we may be seeing history repeat itself. The precedence of World War I and World War I was triggered by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, but the true causes ran deeper: alliances, militarism, and nationalism. World War II followed economic turmoil, aggressive expansionism, and political extremism. The question is, what are today's warning signs? The new global powder kegs. The world today is polarized like it was before WW2. Nations are choosing sides. Global economic instability could trigger desperation and radical decision-making. Authoritarianism is on the rise, just as it was before previous world wars. The flashpoints that could ignite World War III. Throughout history, wars have begun with a single spark. There are several possibilities. The U.S. versus China. The new Cold War. China's growing military presence in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait has escalated tensions with the U.S. Taiwan is a potential flashpoint. China views it as a breakaway province, but the U.S. has pledged to defend it. If an invasion of Taiwan occurs, the world could see a U.S.-China war unlike anything before. Russia versus NATO. A new European war. Russia's war in Ukraine has already shaken the world, but could it expand? NATO is growing stronger, with countries like Sweden and Finland joining. Russia sees this as a direct threat. If Russia pushes further into Eastern Europe, NATO could be forced into a full-scale war. The Middle East, a region always on the brink. The Israel-Palestine conflict remains unresolved and could escalate into a regional war. Iran's nuclear ambitions put it at odds with the West. Could a military strike trigger global conflict? Oil and energy politics have always played a role in wars. Could economic warfare lead to military action? India versus Pakistan, a nuclear ticking time bomb. These 2 nuclear-armed neighbors have clashed over Kashmir for decades. A major terrorist attack or border skirmish could escalate into a full-scale war. If nuclear weapons are used, it could have catastrophic global consequences. North Korea, a wild card. North Korea continues to develop advanced nuclear weapons and ICBMs. Could a miscalculated attack on South Korea or Japan trigger a war involving the U.S. and China? How would World War III unfold? Narrator, if war does break out, what will it look like? Will it be fought with tanks and soldiers, or AI and cyberattacks? Let's examine some scenarios. A conventional war that grows a regional conflict, like Taiwan or Ukraine, escalates. Allied nations get drawn in, creating a multi-front war. Naval and aerial battles become crucial as major powers fight for control of sea lanes. The age of cyber warfare. Countries attack each other's infrastructure through cyber means rather than missiles. Banks, hospitals, power plants, and communication networks could be shut down. The line between military and civilian targets would blur. Nuclear Armageddon. If nuclear weapons are used, it could lead to worldwide destruction. Even a limited nuclear war between 2 countries could trigger a global catastrophe. Nuclear winter, radiation, and economic collapse could wipe out billions. The aftermath. What would happen to humanity? If a third world war does break out, what would life be like after? The immediate aftermath: cities in ruins, economies collapsed, governments overthrown. Millions, if not billions, dead or displaced. Shortages of food, water, and medical supplies. The long-term impact: climate changes caused by nuclear war. A new global order possibly ruled by military regimes. The potential for human civilization to collapse. Can we prevent World War III? We may still have time to prevent a global catastrophe. But how? Strengthening diplomacy, international treaties, and negotiations remain key to avoiding war. Open communication between world leaders can prevent miscalculations. Reducing military aggression, de-escalating conflicts instead of escalating them. Reducing nuclear stockpiles through international agreements. Raising public awareness. Citizens must pressure governments to pursue peace. Understanding history can prevent past mistakes from being repeated. The world is at a turning point. The signs of war are there, but so are the opportunities for peace. Will we choose diplomacy, or are we doomed to repeat history? Only time will tell. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.